Good people, welcome back to Global Happenings today. We're so excited to have you again. It has happened again. Abba Kyari is facing so much in the detention that he has found himself, precisely Kuje prison. And right now, they're trying to look for a way to see how they can protect him because, unfortunately, he's staying, among those that he had committed to going to prison, and it has not been a fun experience for him. Some time ago, we brought you news in that regard, and it's happening again. So they're trying to look out for a way to sort out the situation, considering what is currently going on in Kuje prison against him. Just fairly, according to the news, he just escaped being taken out. So we're going to give you full details how it all happened and the consideration of taking him to another place of safety. But before we go on with details of the news, we'd like to encourage you to please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button and also the bell icon so that you get notification anytime we publish our videos. And according to the news, prison officials are considering moving suspended police officer Abba Kyari to the custody of the State Security Service SSS from the Kuje prison after he nearly got murdered by aggrieved inmates who accused him of insincerity in bribe for release deals when he was in active service. According to internal documents and officials as assessed by a particular media group, the attack happened on May 4th, months after Mr. Kyari, who is on trial for drug-related offenses, was reprimanded. He his attackers were about 190, an official said, and they are mostly in prison for drug offenses. Mr. Kyari, 47, a deputy commissioner of police, was decorated cop and head of the elite intelligence response team of Inspector General of Police before his fall. First, he was suspended from police duties after being named last July by American investigators as an accomplice in the international fraud and money laundering scheme of Ramon Abbas, popularly called Hush Puppy. Then, while on suspension and awaiting the outcome of an internal probe, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, in February accused him of involvement in a drug trafficking conspiracy. The agency released a video in which Mr. Kyari appeared to be describing the use of his team to push drugs and discussing sharing of the criminal fortunes. He was charged to court in March and reprimanded in Kuje prison. The Kuje attackers claim Mr. Kyari prosecuted them despite taking bribes from them, our sources said. One of the sources, a state investigator and intelligence officer, described Mr. Kyari as a dodgy criminal. Mr. Kyari has not been convicted of any crime and has said he is innocent of the allegation for which he has been charged. Quoting the inmates, our sources said Mr. Kyari was eliminating smaller drug dealers to clear the field for Afam Okatu, a suspected billionaire drug baron allegedly behind a 3 billion naira tramadol deal linked to Mr. Kyari. Oh my God. Inmates claim that upon arrest, Abba Kyari demanded bribe to kill the case, then still prosecuted them. A Kuje prison source who assessed the testimonies of the aggrieved inmate said. The spokesman for the Nigerian Correction Service, Francis Enobore, denied the attack on Mr. Kyari, but it was confirmed the attack from, but Premium Times confirmed the attack from officials with direct knowledge of it and the service internal document. According to our sources, Mr. Kyari was rescued by officials and has since been kept in an isolated cell under heavy protection where no one sees him for fear of attack or poisoning. To buy his safety, Mr. Kyari has to pay each of the aggrieved inmates 200,000 naira in initial settlement fee and then procure DSTV subscription for cells to buy loyalty and peace, one source said. However, Mr. Anobore, who spoke for the correctional service, said, I am not aware about Kyari paid anybody to secure his safety in prison. Mr. Kyari is alleged to have amassed wealth far in excess of his fair earnings by evading his duty as a law enforcement officer and involving in illicit activities. In April, NDLEA said the marked properties in Borno, Kano, Lagos, and Abuja linked to the disgraced officer. Despite the settlement, the aggrieved inmates have continued to threaten Mr. Kyari's life, our sources said. Regardless of the level of protection they vow to get him, the source said, the inmates have given him an ultimatum to return all he extorted from them or be taken out. Relevant officials have assessed that he will be killed or badly injured if he continues to be reprimanded in Kuje. An official recommendation has therefore been made that Mr. Kyari should be transferred out of Kuje to an SSS facility. The SSS spokesperson Peter Afonanya did not answer calls, nor did he reply to a text requesting his comment on this report. Meanwhile, prison sources describe Mr. Kyari's life in Kuje. So far, he has every relevant officers on his payroll. They do his bidding. He sees his wife, and he has access to mobile devices and marabout. Can you imagine? This is really, really serious, I'm telling you. And this was expected. This is coming from well-known media house. This was expected because when you are into some fraudulent activities, automatically you're going to trade on a lot of people, and when you trade on them, let God help you that you don't stay in the same correctional facility with them, because they will do everything within their power to make sure they take you out. I mean, it's really unthinkable to hear him taking bribe just to sustain one man. He would take bribe from these people and still commit them to correctional facilities, and also will still, take some of them out and all of that. When you do such a thing, when the payback time comes, unfortunately, you may not be able to stand it, because it may, at the long run, claim your life. Most people had already, or before now, it has already been reported by him, by some media houses, that he was scared of IPOB members whom he had committed to, prison facilities, because those guys were really, really out for him. But right now, Nigerians have reacted to these particular information. Someone said, why will he have access to cell phone? My brother, they are big boys in prison. They are small boys in prison. If he can pay and keep the pockets of the officers very liquid, in other words, it's giving them the normal tip, ensuring that they are very well taken care of. Automatically, they will give him his way. You understand? If he doesn't do that, that's when they will allow him into the hands of those prisoners to deal with him. So the issue of having access to cell phone is not a shock to most Nigerians, because unfortunately, the system itself, we are not talking about the government now, but the system itself is so corrupt. And someone here says, Kuje is not the only prison in Nigeria. If he is unsafe with inmates in Kuje, he should be transferred to another prison in the south. Transfer him to the south. What his eyes will see, his mouth will not be able to speak, because already his story is everywhere. You understand? This one said, deception upon deception. What a country. Are you sure they have not secretly released that man from prison while pretending that he is in isolation? Well, that one belongs to the prison officers. This one said, this is a ploy by the authorities to move him to where he will live in an air-conditioned apartment instead of as a prisoner. Every inmate face attack from time to time. He is a criminal, and a worse criminal, so that no attempt should be made under any guise to give him preference. This one here says, when he started a bad business with criminals and spent the money with wife and children, he thinks he was enjoying himself. But when the Almighty God catch him, he now know that life is only one. It's a lesson for those who only believe 419 and criminal business. Just repent. Most of you know you are eating fire. You will remove money from account of hard-working people, and you think you are enjoying yourself. Your days are numbered. That is absolutely true. If you are involved in those kind of activities, this should be a lesson, because someday it may be your own turn. Abba Kyari remains a criminal cover for A criminal covered for a very long time by police uniform. He has taken out hundreds of Nigerians and took their monies and their properties. All these news of being in the prison are meant to divert attention and escape being extradited to the US for trial and eventually imprisonment for his criminal act that went international. How can over 190 prisoners gang up to attack one notorious thief, Abba Kyari, and he is still alive talking nonsense? For me, it is moonlight tales. Now, one here says nemesis. So many people are talking here, but I'd like to leave it there. Go to our comment section. Let's interact. What's your standpoint on this issue?